Over a whole world-destroying war zone in the year 2029, the remnants of the city of Los Angeles are overwhelmed by mechanical conflict machines, a few like tanks. Others are air-cushioned vehicles. A title card lets us know that later on, people will wage a long conflict against a foe known as the machines. The last fight, nonetheless, won't be battled in this future world, yet all the same previously, explicitly are present. This evening. The year changes to Los Angeles, May 12, 1984 at 1:34 a.m. At the Griffith Park Observatory, sitting above the city, lightning radiates from over a dump truck, taking out power. The driver sees an exposed and vigorously strong man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The man stands up and begins strolling toward the city where he is spotted by three youthful troublemakers.
What's wrong with this picture?
The man offers a few unconcerned responses to a progression of mocking inquiries the troublemakers pose to him, and afterward arranges the men to give him their garments. The troublemakers produce blades accordingly. The man smacks two troublemakers to the side, the third cuts him, yet the man incomprehensibly tears open the troublemaker's body with his uncovered hands, and kills him. The third troublemaker, apparently the final straggler alive, promptly starts to eliminate his jacket. In a midtown backstreet, a vagrant sees a splendid, roundabout light over the ground, like the one at Griffith Park. A scarred, bare man, strong yet a lot more modest in size than the other man who showed up likewise, is constrained through the entrance and grounds in the rear entryway, in clear torment. This is Kyle Reese, Michael Biehn. Reese takes the vagrant's jeans, similarly as a squad car pulls up and two police holler at him to freeze. Reese can stow away and assaults one of the police, taking his gun and requesting the cop let him know the date and year. The cop becomes astounded by Reese's inquiry. At the point when the cop's accomplice shows up, Reese runs into a retail chain. He takes a few things, including a couple of Nike tennis shoes and a long coat, and escapes the store. In one more rear entryway outside, he takes a shotgun from an empty crew vehicle. Finding a telephone directory close by, he looks into the name, Sarah Connor. Somewhere else a young lady, Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, carries on with the existence of a desolate server. Imparting a condo to her companion Ginger, Bess Mata, Sarah is carrying on without an exhausting life that appears to go no place.
There is it.
Nice going, kid. How to give you the tip?
Look at it this way, in 100 years, who's gonna care?
The strong man takes a vehicle and goes to a nearby outdoor supplies store where he has the proprietor, Dick Mill operator, show him a few attack weapons and a gun with laser locating. He straight requests a staged plasma rifle. The proprietor tells him, just what you see, buddy. The proprietor lets his client know that he can take the rifles immediately, yet the gun has a holding up period.
Just touch the trigger, the beam comes on, and you put the red dot where you want the bullet to go. You can't miss. Anything else?
phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
Hey, just what you see, pal.
The Uzi 9mm.
You know your weapons, buddy. Any one of these is ideal for home defense. So, which will it be?
All.
I may close early today. There's a 15-day wait on.
As he makes sense of the interaction, the man nonchalantly stacks the shotgun and fires the representative. Soon after, the man finds a telephone directory and searches for the name Sarah Connor.
I don't care what you're doing. Come and get me. What the? Hey, man. You got a serious attitude problem.
Finding 3 postings in the Los Angeles region. He goes to the location of the principal posting. As he strolls to the front entryway, a little canine barks at him. At the point when this Sarah Connor opens the entryway and recognizes her name, the man powers his direction inside and shoots her with the gun he obtained. Not long later, at the cafe where she works, Sarah's colleague hauls her to the TV where she sees a news report about a lady sharing her name having been killed by an unidentified attacker.
Gunman earlier today in her home. Now, police are refusing to speculate on the apparent similarity between these shooting deaths, and no other connection between the 2 victims has been established as of yet. Of course, we'll have more on this late-breaking story as it comes in. A spectacular fire fueled by solvents, oils, and other flammable liquids.
That night, Sarah and her flatmate, Ginger, plan for discreet dates. Ginger's sweetheart, Matt Rick Rossovich, will be approaching Go through the evening. Sarah receives a message from her date, who drops. Sarah chooses to go out for pizza and sees another news report where the police declare the demise of another lady sharing her name. Sarah ends up being stressed, and when she sees she is being trailed by Kyle Reese, she ducks into a little dance club called Tech Noir. She attempts to call Ginger, but Ginger and Matt don't hear the telephone as they are engaging in sexual relations. Not long after Sarah's call, the executioner assaults and lethally shoots Ginger and Matt, prior to hearing Sarah's voice on their replying mail saying where she is.
but don't be shy, it's okay. Machines need love too, so talk to it, and Ginger, that's me, or Sarah will get back to you.
Sarah then, at that point, telephones the police division and is associated with Lieutenant Ed Traxler, Paul Winfield, and Sergeant Vukovic, Spear Henriksen, the investigators examining the Sarah Connor killings. Traxler advises Sarah to wait until he can get a crew vehicle to her.
I gotta leave. I think there's a guy following me.
All right, now listen, Miss Connor. Now listen carefully. You're in a public place, so you'll be safe till we get there, but stay visible. Don't go outside or even to the restroom.
I'll have a car there in a hot minute.
Okay.
The executioner shows up at the club, dispatches a bouncer, and swims into the group.
Hey, that guy's
Meanwhile, Reese has likewise entered the dance club. Last spotted by the executioner, which points its laser-located gun at her. Reese fires on the executioner, hitting him with a few impacts, and thumping him to the floor. Sarah sees the executioner unthinkably ascend to its feet and open fire on Reese with the Uzi it took. He progresses on Sarah once more, shooting the lady behind her, the lady's body sticking her to the floor. As the executioner progresses on her and gets ready to shoot her, Reese shows up once more and stirs things up around town with a few more shotgun impacts, shooting him out the front window of the club where he arrives in the city. He tells Sarah, "Accompany me if you want to live," as the executioner emerges once more and pursues them out the rear of the club.
Come on!
Reese and Sarah go through a back street behind the club as the executioner pursues them. According to the executioner's viewpoint, we see that he is a robot or the like who sees them through a mechanized type of night vision. Reese impacts the fuel tank of a close-by vehicle which detonates. The executioner is resolute, and bounces on the hood of Reese's vehicle, crushing its clench hand through the windshield and getting a handle on it. Sarah. Reese moves his vehicle in converse and misleads the executioner.
L19, I got a hit-and-run felony. Suspect vehicle, late model gray Ford, headed westbound on 7. He's really moving, punching lights all the way. I'm gonna need an ambulance at 7th and Broadway, right
Reese hurries off while the Eliminator represses a cop, screenwriter William Wisher, and takes his crew vehicle.
Exactly! Don't move unless I say. Don't make a sound unless I say. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Please, don't hurt me.
I'm Reese, Sergeant TechCom, BN 38416, assigned to protect you. You've been targeted for termination.
During the pursuit, the executioner listens near the police, gives an account of the vehicle's radio, and answers in the cop's voice. During the pursuit, Reese wildly distinguishes himself as a sergeant with a chronic number and makes sense of that Sarah has been focused on for end, and that the executioner pursuing them isn't a man yet a machine called a Eliminator, a metallic battle case covered with living human tissue to cause it to seem human. They race through a few rear entryways, at long last halting in a parking structure. Reese lets Sarah know that the first and bigger 600 series Eliminators had elastic skin. However, the more up-to-date 800 series are exceptionally difficult to distinguish, which is the reason he followed Sarah and trusted that the Eliminator will take its action so he could recognize it. Skeptical, Sarah frenzies and starts to shout for help, gnawing Reese on the hand. He tells her to avoid it once more.
Alright, listen. The Terminator's an infiltration unit. Part man, part machine. Underneath, it's a hyperalloy combat chassis. Microprocessor controlled. Fully...
In the parking structure, they abandon Reese's vehicle and view as one more opened one. Reese makes sense of additional that an atomic conflict will be started by a new, strong PC framework, alluded to as Skynet, in the main continuation, that will be entrusted with controlling all guard frameworks. Reese himself has not seen the following atomic holocaust, but rather was conceived and grew up dejected and starving in the remains. He was oppressed and set apart with a scanner tag and had to work stacking bodies into incinerators. According to humanity, he will be very nearly eradication when one man, John Connor, can coordinate the leftover people into a viable opposition development that, when Reese will be sent back to the current day by Connor himself, had really crushed Skynet. John Connor is Sarah's future child. In urgency, Skynet has sent the Eliminator to the current day to kill Sarah and take out John Connor's presence. Reese likewise makes sense of that the Eliminator chasing after Sarah is another model, one that shows up endlessly more human than its ancestors. Reese tells her the android will drain, sweat and even has awful breath to improve the camouflage. Reese is questionable that he can overcome the android without having the high-level weaponry representing things to come.
That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop, ever, until you are dead.
Can you stop it?
I don't know. With these weapons, I don't know.
found in a parking structure at 4th and Poetry.
The Terminator finds them there and the pursuit resumes. Reese has Sarah assume control over driving and can stir things up around town with a couple of impacts from his shotgun. Sarah stops their vehicle and the Eliminator collides with a wall. As the police close in, Reese is prepared to take shots at them, yet Sarah stops him, saying they'll kill him.
No! No! They'll kill you.
You're on the Cadillac. Let me see your hands now. Get out of the car. Drop to your knees. Out of the car. Drop to the ground.
At the point when she and Reese are captured, she sees that the Terminator has gotten away from the scene.
Sarah? Sarah, try to drink some of this.
Listen, are you sure it's them? I mean, maybe I should look at the bodies.
No, they've been identified and there's no...
At Traxler's police region, Sarah is informed that Ginger is dead and that...
Ginger!
Sarah, this is Dr. Silverman. Hi, Sarah. I want you to tell him everything that Reese told you. Do you feel up to that?
I guess so. You're a doctor.
Criminal psychologist.
Is Reese crazy?
Well, that's what we're gonna find out. So,
Reese has been given to a criminal therapist, Dr. Peter Silberman, Baron Bowen. His anecdote about the Eliminator is treated as the prattling of outrageous fancy. While watching the tape of the meeting, Silberman enthusiastically says that a case like Reese's could vocation make. During the meeting, Silberman asks Reese for what valid reason he didn't carry weaponry from the future with him, to which Reese answers that main living material will go through the time entry. Reese rapidly becomes fomented and starts to shout into the camera that the Eliminator should be annihilated or it won't stop until it kills Sarah.
Shut up! You still don't get it, do you? He'll find her. That's what he does! That's all he does! You can't stop him! He'll wait for you, reach down her throat, and pull her fucking heart out!
Doc!
Let go of me!
The Terminator returns to a terrible lodging where it hangs out. It eliminates one of eyes had been harmed when it was shot by Reese. Under the natural eye is a modern mechanical eye that shines red. It wears a bunch of shades, changes into various garments and walks out to continue the chase after Sarah, making a siphon move Spa's shotgun and an AR-18 programmed rifle. At the police station, the Terminator shows up in the lobby similarly as Dr. Silberman is leaving and requests to see Sarah. The work area sergeant won't give the Terminator access. The Eliminator takes a gander at the work area sergeant, then moving around and essentially states, "I'll be back."
Take a while. You want to wait? There's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
The Terminator heads outside and 1 moment later crashes a vehicle through the front entryway.
Stay here.
It walks through the area, heartlessly shooting each official in its way. The Terminator gets to a circuit board and in the wake of tearing out a principal circuit link, pushes the live wire into the breaker box, making an electrical flood that extinguishes all lights in the structure, leaving the cops in a difficult situation.
Watch him.
In the fight, Traxler and Vukovic are hit by gunfire and Reese gets away from restriction. He tracks down Sarah and the two break the region. While hanging out in a sewer burrow, Sarah understands that Kyle's story is valid. Reese informs her seriously concerning the future where people scarcely make do in the midst of the destruction of urban communities and the originating before of the Terminators. At first, Skynet's vehicles, tracker executioners or HKs, would utilize infrared innovation to find and kill people. Kyle makes reference to that John Connor's ability for methodology assisted the opposition with overcoming them. Afterward, the new Terminators, infiltrators like the one he and Sarah are on the run from, showed up and started to find stowed-away dugouts where people hung out. Sarah slips into rest and has a bad dream of a firefight where Eliminators break into a human safe haven and slaughter scores of regular citizens. Kyle himself is there, in the wake of tracking down a spot to rest after an obstruction watch. He takes out a Polaroid photograph of Sarah and respects it.
Let's go.
Reese, EN 384.
Right. Let him in.
In the meantime, the Eliminator is back in its undesirable in-room safe house taking a gander at a location book that it took from Sarah and Ginger's condo and sees a rundown of names including that of Sarah's mom who resides upstate. After cruelly excusing the lodging proprietor, the Eliminator then, at that point, leaves its room.
Got a dead cat in there or what?
Fuck you, asshole.
Afterward, the two arrive at a side of the road inn, where Kyle goes to buy synthetic compounds expected to make explosives. While he is shopping, utilizing acquired cash,
Enough. I don't want to ask where you got it.
I'm coming.
We need a room.
All right. With the kitchen.
Do you have one with a kitchen? I am dying for a shower. We should check your bandage, too.
Later. I'm going out for supplies. Keep this.
I can't tell you where I am, Mom.
Sarah showers and telephones her mom, telling her the telephone number where she is, uninformed that the Eliminator is on the other line and reproducing the voice of Sarah's mom. Sarah's mom is no place in sight, yet the presence of the lodge's thumped-down front entryway with a huge shotgun chute opening in it recommends that the Eliminator constrained its direction in and likely shot Sarah's mom and trusted that Sarah will call.
I've got it. I love you too, sweetheart.
The Eliminator then telephones the inn and, utilizing its genuine voice, asks the work area assistant to give him the inn's location.
Give me your address there.
At the motel, Reese returns with a bag full of unusually matched items like ammonia and corn syrup. Sarah and Kyle make a stockpile of pipe bombs filled with plastique, a compound that Kyle had learned to make and teaches Sarah to make as well, also showing her the cautious process involved to make the bombs. When Sarah asks Kyle if he has ever had a lover, he replies he has not, a fact that touches Sarah. Kyle then mentions having a photo of Sarah and how he has fallen in love with her. Realizing he has gone too far, he furiously begins loading explosives, but Sarah stops him and kisses him. The two lose their inhibitions and have sex. Their consummation results in the conception of Sarah's and Kyle's son, John.
Make sure there's none on the threads. Like this. Screw the end cap on. Very gently.
You must have had a fun childhood.
That's good. All right, 6 more like that, and I'll get started on the fuses.
That night, the Terminator tracks them to the inn and the two escape again in a taken pickup truck, cautioned by an occupant's pet canine woofing at seeing the oncoming Terminator.
races!
As they race down a wide parkway, Reese puts forth a fearless attempt to obliterate the Eliminator with the line bombs he and Sarah made. In any case, he is hit by gunfire. Figures out how to knock the Terminator off its bike and her truck flips over. Recuperates and is quickly struck by a semi-big hauler truck and hauled for a brief distance.
You stay here.
After the driver stops, the Terminator kills him and assumes command over the truck, requesting the transporter's accomplice to get out, endeavoring to run down Sarah. Sarah can get Kyle out of their destroyed pickup before the Terminator runs it down.
Let's get out of here.
Get out.
Close to an industrial facility, Kyle utilizes another line bomb to explode the truck's tank trailer, which detonates. As Reese and Sarah embrace, the Terminator rises out of the destruction, its tissue totally consumed off.
We did it, Kyle. We got it.
Reese and Sarah retreat into the manufacturing plant, which is robotized. Reese turns on as a considerable lot of the machines as he can, making following more challenging for the Eliminator.
What are you doing?
Cover! So he can't track us.
They are at long last cornered and Reese places his last bomb in the endoskeleton of the Terminator, which detonates, dissipating bits of the android. Sarah, nursing a seriously harmed leg, tracks down Reese, yet all at once he's dead. She is unexpectedly gone after by the top portion of the Eliminator's skeleton. She frantically slithers away. at last drawing the Eliminator into a monster water-driven press. She traps it there and, as it carelessly attempts to break her neck,
You're terminated, fucker.
presses the button initiating the press. The Eliminator is squashed until its red gleaming eye blurs. Sarah is taken to a rescue vehicle and sees the paramedics stacking Kyle into a body pack. Afterward, she is driving a Jeep in the desert, an enormous canine in the front seat, apparently towards Mexico, halting at a service station. She is all the more noticeably pregnant with John Connor and has been recording her voice utilizing a tape player. The tapes are for her child. One of the inquiries she presents is whether she ought to enlighten John concerning Reese being his dad and assuming that will influence his choice to send the hero back so as to meet and save Sarah. While the Jeep's tank is filled, a young man snaps her photo with a Polaroid camera. It is the very picture that John will give Reese later on. She and the kid deal over the cost and she gets it. The kid expresses something in Spanish and the service station proprietor tells her he said that a tempest is coming. However, she knows about this. Sarah sees the tempest drawing closer and she crashes off into an obscure future.
Gasolina, por favor.
¿Cuánto?
Llena el tanque.
Fill it up, sí.
Should I tell you about your father? Boy, that's a tough one. Will it affect your decision to send him here, knowing that he is your father? If you don't send Kyle, you could never be. God, a person could go crazy thinking about this. I suppose I will tell you. I owe him that. Maybe it'll help if you know that in the few hours that we had together, we loved a lifetime's worth.
Usted es muy hermosa, señora, y tengo pena decirle que me da $5 americanos. Pero si no, mi padre me va a pegar.
What did he just say?
He says you're very beautiful, señora, and he's ashamed to ask you for $5 American for this picture. But if he doesn't, his father will beat him.
Pretty good hustle, kid. Cuatro.
Sí, sí. Gracias. ¡Miren, miren! ¡Allá! ¡Viene una tormenta!
What did he just say?
He said there's a storm coming in.
I know.